Hello and welcome back to the Common Colt Podcast, a Colts podcast with real takes and no clickbait. I'm Josh Hudgens, joined by Dan Hertzler. Dan, how you doing?
I'm doing good. And contrary to Arian Foster, this is not scripted. We're just sitting here talking, and we don't know what's going to happen next in the NFL.
Well, yeah, maybe it should be scripted. I don't know. Maybe the Colts would stand a chance. But one thing that's interesting, and I was reading on Twitter, Albert Breer and a few other guys are saying that the Bears have decided that they're going to stick with Justin Fields and try to trade the number one pick in the draft. I know this isn't crazy, shocking news. There was some rumors out there that, hey, they might keep the pick and trade Fields. Well, that didn't happen. We didn't think it was going to happen. But that obviously opens up the window there for the Colts to swoop in and possibly get our franchise quarterback.
Yeah. This is the news we expected. This is everything we were actually hoping for. This gives us a chance to really make a play for that pick. And now we're kind of looking at, okay, what is that going to be? What's that going to take? What are we looking at? And so, it's interesting how some of these guys do this, and every pick has a value. Okay, so you talk about a draft value, not to nerd everyone out too much, but the number one overall pick is worth like 3,000 points.
Yeah.
And the Colts pick at 1-4 is 1,800. So the Colts are going to have to make up that gap. And that's the question, is what's it going to take to make up that gap? What's it going to take for the Bears to drop? I'm seeing some rumors that the Bears might be interested not only in picks, but players as well, too. And so that makes it interesting to say, who are some of the players that the Colts might want to move with that 1-4 to be able to get the 1-1? Josh, what do you hear?
Well, it's interesting. And like you said, there's a draft chart, and it always kind of labels out what picks are worth what. And for me, I think, obviously, there's a Michael Pittman rumor that came out a few months ago. I don't think the Colts would want to move Pittman. I know he's entering his contract year, but if you trade Pittman away to get the first pick in the draft, this rookie quarterback is going to have no wide receiver to throw to. I'm not the biggest Michael Pittman fan in the world. I'm not necessarily saying this guy's a bona fide number one superstar receiver, but he's going to have no one to throw to. I'm really looking at two guys on the defensive side of the ball, one of them being Kenny Moore and one of them being DeForest Buckner. I think the number 4 pick obviously has to be thrown in this trade, and maybe another pick, maybe the second round pick, number 35 overall, and maybe Kenny Moore / DeForest Buckner. One of these guys, because first of all, Matt Eberflus is a Chicago Bears head coach. He coached the Colts defense side of the ball, so he knows what these guys are like. And Kenny Moore, throughout this season and even last offseason, has at times displayed a little bit of displeasure in the Colts, as if he had a deleted tweet saying, hey, I don't get sent on blitzes as much. There's little things here and there, contract issues with Kenny Moore. So sending him away would not be a surprise to me, and he actually had a down year with the Colts. So I'm looking more at Kenny Moore than I am Buckner, but I think either of these guys could go.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing, to look at. Even, again, we got to look at it from the Bears' perspective. The Bears got Chase Claypool this off, during the season. Do they want to get Pittman, kind of the same kind of build, same kind of guy? I like those defensive things. I'm also looking at the offensive line. We've got some guys that had a down year, but they're valued pretty high. And so would the Colts move a Nelson? Would they move a Ryan Kelly? Those are two guys to look at. I don't know if they would. I don't know if they can with the contract, but you pair the 1-4 with, I'd hate to give up the second this year. I would love to be able to go 1-4, a player, and then maybe a future pick, whether that's a future first or future second. To give up both your first and second this round, man, that would be rough. But don't be surprised if the offensive line, which is a huge need for the Bears, is some of the places that they go.
Well, that's true. And I think, like, you hit the nail on the head there. You have to know the team you're trading with. And obviously, I don't think Nelson's going to go, but you definitely got to look at Ryan Kelly, who he might just get traded. And I don't think the Colts want to necessarily walk away from a former Pro Bowl center very easily. And people think, like, oh, no, why would you trade your center? He's still a solid center. I know he had a down year, but you got to think about what you'd be getting in return. And Kelly, I mean, he's not young in the tooth anymore. And if you have a chance of getting a quarterback who can win you big games and playoff games, it becomes well worth it. You look at Mahomes, you look at Burrow, you look at all these young cats, you look at the AFC in general. If Watson kind of has a rebound year, Trevor Lawrence is stepping, you've got to get that quarterback, even if it means trading away your aging center.
Yeah, and I think the other part you got to realize too is this isn't just the Bears versus the Colts and what's going on. There's other teams that
Yeah.
are going to be involved in this too, who they've got some pretty good deals. You look at the Texans, the Seahawks, the Lions. All three of those teams have multiple first round picks
Yeah.
this year, and so the Colts are going to have to give up something very significant, more than the 1-4, to be able to move up there because there's going to be a lot of competition.
Well, it's a good point. When you're the Colts, and I think it was Mel Kiper said, "Hey, I anticipate the Colts and the Texans having a full-on bidding war for this first overall pick." And it's kind of tough when your division rival is 2 picks in front of you, and they have more draft assets / capital than you. So, like you said, we have some talented players. We're probably gonna have to move on from them. It not only would free up some cap space, but I think there is some lingering cultural issues in the Colts organization that we don't even know about that might get considered when some of these trades go down. We've seen it with Nyheim Hines. He wasn't a locker room cancer by any means, but he requested a trade, and he was beloved by Colts fans, but he just didn't want to be part of the organization anymore because of the quarterback issues we've had and the losing we've had. So maybe there's somebody else on this team that we haven't thought of that's kind of under the same mindset.
Yeah, and the last thing with all this that we have to figure out too is how do they rate these quarterbacks? So by all metrics, there's kind of 3 quarterbacks that are out there that are getting kind of a lot of hype. And so if the Colts have one guy that they say he's the best, he's by and far the best out of the 3, then they got to go get 1-1. But if they look there and say, you know what, we like all 3 kind of even, then maybe they don't have to go all the way up to 1-1 and not give up quite the assets. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they rate these quarterbacks and whether or not they think like, you and I, we want CJ Stroud. Well, that's the guy we want. He's number 1. But, we're not in those scout meetings. We're not in those video meetings. We don't know if he's clearly the best out of the 3. Yeah,
the scouting process, like you said, is so long, and these guys get interviewed and poked and prodded. The teams know what brand underwear these guys are wearing. So you kind of do have to trust that process in a way, even though sometimes you scratch your head. Do you think this trade, whether it's the Colts making the trade or the Texans making the trade, what do you think the time frame is on this trade?
Yeah. See, I think it's going to happen pretty quick because of all the fear of what else could happen. And I would expect that if the Colts don't get 1-1, they're going to move up into the top 3. I think they're not going to sit at 4 no matter what. So my guess is you're going to see, that the head coach happen hopefully within a week here. And then I would think that whoever gets 1-1 might happen late February, maybe early March. So I don't think it's going to wait until kind of a 1 month before the draft, a few weeks before the draft. I think this is going to happen quickly, and then there's going to be a domino effect. So if the Colts get ahead of the Texans are going to stay pat. If the Texans get 1, Bears drop to 2, maybe the Colts go and get 2.
Yeah.
And the Bears drop again. I could see the Bears doing that. The Bears would love to do that. They need assets. They need players. They need picks. So a lot of things could be interesting and happening. And I think for the Bears, they want to get this done quick so that they can maybe make another move. And so I would expect sometime late February.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Bears, if they truly believe, and it sounds like they do, believe in Justin Fields, and if he is the guy, they are in such a good spot to pick up a lot of assets this draft because there's a lot of, you look at that top 10 list, the Texans need a quarterback. Seahawks, Geno Smith, maybe they need a quarterback. The Lions need a quarterback. The Raiders need a quarterback. The Falcons, if you don't believe in Spencer Rattler, they need a quarterback. The Panthers, that's 6 of the top 10 teams need a quarterback. So I don't know if the Bears are going to want to drop all the way back to 8 or 9, but that's 6 teams in the top 10 that need a quarterback, and the Colts are one of them. It's interesting.
And the Colts, they need to come in hot and heavy on this, man. You just don't fool around. Go in, tell the Bears, hey, what do you need? Bears will shoot high. Don't try to barter with them. Don't try to get that discount. They just need to make the move. They got to get their quarterback.
Yeah. So I agree 100%. And a little against Ballard's nature as a GM. We've seen it historically where he is a bit of a barterer in trades, but this might be a time where we're kind of trying to negotiate from a point of weakness. So we'll see what happens. Guys, this is the Common Colt Podcast. That's Dan Hertzler. I'm Josh Hudgens. We appreciate you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share with a friend. And until next time, have a great day.